Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, August 28, 2025. So we start off with Marlena and Sarah. They're having just casual talk in the square, and they're catching up about what happened with Rachel and Kristen. And, of course, Sarah is putting her 2 cents and say, why would Kristen do this to her own daughter and nephew? And she saw how Rachel was looking the other day. And, she's thinking that maybe she should have think twice about giving Rachel back to Kristen all these years. Looked how she turned out. So Marlena said that, what about Brady? Like, he wouldn't have met his daughter. So she said she's sorry to put her foot in her mouth about that. But, she's just cares a lot about Rachel and what she's been through, physical wise, with the stomach aches and everything. Like, why would Kristen have done that? Kristen always thinks about herself. She's a psychopath, all of these things. And, Marlena takes up for her and said that she did the right thing in the end. And she's a great mother to Rachel, despite all she's done to other people and who she was and everything. She's always had a maternal bone for Rachel, and Sarah doesn't seem to think that way. Anyways, she also talked about how she made a comment about nobody looked out for Rachel when she was having the stomach ache. And I'm saying, Sarah, you talking too much now. So she said, oh, wait, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry, and I'm not thinking straight. And, Marlena said, look, you're entitled to your feelings, but just know that we are here. Me and Brady are here. We're going to look out for Rachel and do the best that we can. And she believes that, right? She thanks Marlena for being there for her all over the years. And Marlena thanks her as well as looking out for Rachel, Brady, and herself. She also talks about how she's doing because she wants to know, if there's any underlying problem with Marlena. Marlena says that Susan seems to think that she has something wrong with her. She's possessed somehow. And, Sarah agrees to like run some more tests, I guess some tapeworm illness, and see what's going on. They also talk about Xander and her. And, even though Marlena cannot share what's going on with the session, she's hoping that they can, she can help her. She can help him, right? Sorry. So, she still loves him, but she cannot go back to the man that she used to be with. So she's just hoping that whatever Marlon is doing is gonna help him, right? So Chanel and Johnny, they're enjoying his first day of freedom. And they're just talking about how she can't believe that Kristen would do this to him. But they just want to put it behind him. He's looking forward to getting back to work as well. At some point he gets a call from Salem U. They are looking into the position that he was applying for last year, to do, I guess some professor in film over there. So he said that he has another job, but they're willing to work with him and his schedule. And, they're hoping to hear back from him. So he said that he will look into it and, call him back. Chanel is urging him to go ahead and do it because, sometimes some things come around and you never know, you're looking for a new career path and all that. I know that you did this because of what's going on with your father, but go ahead, see where it leads. And, they're just happy to be there supporting each other. Of course, they get an interruption from Susan, which I cannot stand when she comes into town, right? So she's happy that her grandson is out. And, she tells them that, look, I know Kristen tested, Kristen came clean about everything, but at the same time, my vibe is not picking up that she's the one behind your dad's shooting. Like, I was there under the same roof with her for weeks and I didn't pick up nothing. And Johnny and Chanel don't want to hear it. They just want to move forward. They don't want to hear about her premonition, her vibes. They just want to move forward. It's been a long ordeal with them, and they're just looking forward to getting on with their lives and everything, right? So she apologized, and at some point she leaves, right? She's still picking up the vibe, but again, nobody wants to hear about it, right? So Philip and Belle, they're enjoying their time together. They're back at the Kyriakis mansion. And Belle is happy that, they went out because, she needed that release from everything going on. They start to talk about him and his love life and his life. He just doesn't know where he fits in. He doesn't know where he's heading to. He's kind of lost with things. And, he talks about relationships and how he's afraid to go into another relationship to hurt somebody else, given his own personal, issues and all that. And he Belle talks about him and Gabby, and he said, he's just two consenting adults enjoying their time together, but I don't want to jump in another relationship. I don't want to hurt Gabby the way I hurt you or anybody else. So, she said, look, we didn't work out as husband or wife, but we're great friends, and he appreciates that. He is grateful for that, right? They talk about his career choices because he's not really liking the workplace environment with Xander, and it's becoming just too toxic, just unfavorable. And Bella's saying, why don't you quit? So he said, because it means a lot to my father, and it's hard to walk away, but maybe you're right. Maybe I need to find a different career direction and see where things go, because honestly, like, I'm kind of lost where I'm at as well. Now Xander and Alex are talking. He's wondering where Alex has been all this time. He said that he got sidetracked with Sarah, and Sarah was telling him that, look, she still misses and loves him. And Xander definitely wanted to hear that, he still feels the same way, and he's just trying to play it off. And Alex said that he would mind his business going forward, because again, it is what it is, but he thinks that they should talk and see where things go. And Xander said, I know you're in a stable relationship for once, but I don't think you need to like put that out on everybody else. So anyways, Alex said, look, I'm gonna mind my business going forward. So anyways, they start talking about the Titan in the Mirror takeover and how they're gonna go about, dealing with Philip. So Alex is suggesting that, okay, maybe Xander needs to make Philip part owner of the company, so that the shareholders can see that they're actually legitimate, so that they won't have this issue coming over their head about Philip committing fraud and all of that. Maybe that's the best situation. But then Xander's thinking that maybe, he doesn't want to share that with Philip. After all, he's put in the work and everything. He doesn't want to do that. And Philip committed that serious level of fraud, and then he doesn't want to overlook it as well. But he's also grappling with the fact that, time is ticking, the secret might be out, and then, he wants it to be legitimate for the shareholders and everybody involved. So Alex is also giving him another suggestion. Fire, get rid of Philip overall and just give back the company to the Mirror. Simple as that, right? It is what it is. Like, I understand peace of mind and you working hard with what you got, and after what Philip has done, you don't want to, him to have that kind of ownership, right? But it may be, the best solution in the end, right? So he said, he has to think about it some more. So now Gabby is always up to something, because Steve dropped the case and said that he's not going to help her further, and just to really don't interfere with the Mirror and the Titan takeover. But she's not going to listen. So anyways, Javi comes over. Javi knows that anytime she's talking to herself, she's on a mission. So anyways, she talks about how she needs an assistant that was good as him, and he laughed it out, because remember, when he was working as her assistant, she was berating him. She was treating him like complete trash. So I don't know why she feel as if she was gonna get him back. And he's like, no, I love the work I'm doing. I like coming home to Leo and to Sorrow. I like the peace of mind that I have. And she applauds him for that, because she could not do what he does. She was offering him the position to make more money when she comes into a new position herself, to make a significant amount of money. And all the money in the world is not going to persuade Javi to go over and be her assistant again. And I agree, because like, honestly, money is not worth working for a person like Gabby. Honestly, she's just too insufferable. So anyways, they talk about her love life and how she came in late, and she's like, how did you hear about us? So I said, look, like, I'm with a former gossip columnist, like, who was it with? Let me know what's going on. So she said, she's dealing with two people, but she's not sure where she wants to go or who she wants to be with and all that. So anyways, at some point she goes at the office. Xander's already gone for the day, dropping off Victoria with Sarah. And, she has some proposal for him to look over, but then, she wrote him a note. But turns out it's not an actual just a pen, right? Just an actual pen. It's actually like a recording device she was using earlier. So I guess she's going to want to use that to tape any kind of inside information about the takeover that would be useful to her, right? Anyways, Susan comes over, And Marlena is at home and she's already just exhausted. And Susan comes over again, and she's not really happy to see Susan because of the previous encounters. And she said, I want to apologize for how, I came across with you the last time, saying that he were, had bad vibes and everything. So, anyways, he apologized, but then I don't see what's the point of apologizing, because for one thing, you come back and you're still picking up the vibration. And she said, something is off with you. And Marlena said, you need to stop with that, because my doctor said I'm completely fine. And she said, maybe you need a new doctor and all of that. Like, I'm still picking up something's going on with you. And Marlena said, you know what? I've had enough of this. And she just closed the door in her face. Like, again, Susan has been very insufferable this episode. I don't know how some people like this character. I can't stand her as well. Now, Xander meets up with Sarah in the square. He's surprised that he didn't just drop off Victoria via the nanny like what they discussed. So he's wondering if Sarah has something that she wants to say to him that's important. So she said, no, not really. It's nothing to it. So he said, you know, I spoke with Alex, and Alex told me how you miss me and still love me. So she said, yeah, that might be so. She shrugged it off like it's nothing. So, you know, anyways, he said, I still feel the same way, but, I don't know if that's ever going to work out, because there's so much issues between us that's, irreparable. So she said, I guess this conversation is pointless. And then she said, you know what? I'm going to go on ahead, right? I don't know why these people do the same song and dance and don't just grow up, sort out the issues, and just be a family, because clearly you guys still love each other and everything. Stop doing this same song and dance, because it's getting very annoying. It's almost as annoying as Chad and Kat. They know they have feelings for each other, and yet still they're not trying to act on it, and I'm just really getting bored with it. But anyways, guys, comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.